All right, all right, all right. Holla out to my man. Happy to be back online. I know my boys, my Knicks are lying real low at this present stage, so I'm kind of anxious to talk about them because things ain't going the way that I felt that they were going to be going during this off season. But I shouldn't say that because we should expect them to be very, very, very quiet. Don't know how to take it, but I'm going to give my spiel as to what's going to go happen for this, what I want to happen for this season coming up. At the end of the season, we saw our boys fall um, to that team down in South Beach. I can't say their name, of course, but at the end of the day, they did try to do what they thought that they could do. Can't say they overachieved because I did felt they had a great possibility to beat that team from Cleveland. So ending up in the second round, not ashamed of that. So I'm happy for that result. But they left a lot of food on the table at this present stage, and because of that, we are where we are. Still at a stage where the league has shifted just in the past couple of weeks. So many things that transpired. How this team is going to react to that is what we're going to see this upcoming draft. So I'm going to give my spiel. We're going to see how it's going to play out, of course, but this is how I see the situation going on. We don't have any draft picks this season. So how are we going to wind up with certain players that's going to enable us to get to the next level? Well, I'm just going to give my viewpoint of some of the draft picks that I've watched over the year in college and some of that little off college activity, the overtime elite and the G League Ignite team. Some good players up in those leagues, but I'm gonna give my spill on that. If the Knicks go and have a need for a point guard, a backup at this present stage, but also someone in the background, I think my dude from Indiana loved how he played this year when he got after he got off his injury. My man Jalen Hood, Safino, definitely showed himself big time. I doubt the Knicks have any opportunity to get him, but if that's a point guard that's on the shelf that we can be able to acquire, just to be a nice supplemental backup player to Brunson, as well as to be able to be in a position to be able to be an off-ball, second ball handler on the team, that's the type of player that I want on my team right there. Definitely plays on both ends, coached by Mike Woodson, so you know you're going to play defense as well. Definitely is the guy that I want to see there at this point in time, but I doubt we'll be able to get him, but that's my dude right there. On the shooting guard side, I know we're not going to be able to get him, but my dude from UConn, Big East Pride, of course, my boy Jordan Hawkins, definitely showed out during the NCAA tournaments. Definitely has that that outside threat, but ability to be able to get to the whole type of game. And he has a little bit of shiftiness. He can get a little bit better in that particular end of it, but he's a tough player, another gritty guy. Definitely someone that we can definitely use. Um, Interesting to find out that there's a couple other dudes that I saw um, play this year, kind of under the radar. I know he was hurt most of the year, but he's a great heritage. The Whitehead family throughout New York, of course, they're going to be strong players. We're going to see how he play out for this year, my boy, Adric. But the dude that I do think that we have a chance to get from a shooting guard slash small forward type of player, tough guy, all around player, my dude from UCLA. If you watch Jaime this year, don't want to call him Jamie, call him Jaime. That's his name. Definitely is a dude that can definitely I see being a Tibbs type of player. And if anyone can fit that model, that's one guy I can definitely see doing so. So if we get an opportunity to get Jaime, I'm definitely up on that point. So come up on that money, my team here. On the small forward side, it's more of a future type of pick. My boy Leonard Miller, out of the G League G League Ignite team, future pick. Yeah, he's got a potential, but it's a future pick. So I'm not even going to harp too much upon that. Well, we get toward the power forwards, and I know there's a whole lot of power forward talk going on right now. But if they think what I'm going to think they're going to be doing, then this is the type of player that we want to get. I doubt we'll be able to get him, but my boy Taylor Hendricks is definitely one to be upon that. Sneaky pick, my dude from Indiana, my boy Trace Davis, definitely has a rugged exterior to his game. Can definitely is a better on-ball defender from a block shot standpoint. Can definitely get in block shots, but definitely is a high flyer too, and has a little bit elements to his game that he can definitely put the ball on the floor just a little bit, but just enough to be able to get to the rim 1, 2, 3 move when he's there. I can definitely see that in his game, but mostly he's going to be up and down the court. And if, as I said, they do the things that they say they're going to do, which I think they're going to do, this is a nice replacement for that for that guy right there. So, but hopefully, you know, if he falls and then they have an opportunity to pick him up or any way particular point in time, that's a nice replacement to back up Mr. Randall himself. But future pick, it's a guy that right now, growing skill set, youngest guy in the draft, G.G. Jackson, definitely has a lot of potential, a lot to be able to control, but the skill set is there. Definitely has a lot of ability to be able to move around on the court and can make shots. Very inconsistent. Game has to be controlled, but if he falls, that's something to where I see a player like him be able to be drafted and let him build up because he's only 18 years old. He won't even turn 19 till later on this year. So clearly, we have if he's there, latter portion of the first round, early second round, pick him up, put him there to do so. That's not what the Knicks normally do, but hey, they did that with him. Jokic. He's been sitting on the side for the past 3 years, basically just winning championships in Spain like he did last night. So hey, things can happen. So at the end of the day, if that dude slips, that's a pickup I think we can definitely get to. On the center side, there is absolutely no center that I would see in this draft right now that can fit in. Although there is one Tibbs type of player, dude out of Kentucky. Can't pronounce his name just right. Player of the year past couple years, Oscar Debitis. I can't pronounce his last name. I ain't gonna disrespect dude, but definitely strong rebounder, 6'9" type of player, and definitely be a backup in the league in itself. I definitely can see himself in that particular position. Has a little outside game, little inside game. Definitely a nice backup at this particular time. But he can play the center. He can play the 4 or the 5 at this particular stage. And that's another one in second round. Definitely is one that I can see. May not have much of an outside shot. He won't be able to stretch the floor in any particular way. But the toughness, rebounding, and block shots, that's what you need. That's the type of guy that you would want on this team at this point in time, just to make sure that we have that buildup. One thing we see with this new CBA, there's a lot of talk about get what you get right now because it's going to be tougher to get later on. But then you want to build up with these types of players at this present stage and see if you can do the right thing by them. But ultimately, the draft, those are the type of players that I can see. One that I would like to see on the court for my team. Of course, there are others that I don't think will be phenomenal in this league, but I don't even think we'll be in position to get them. But I do see there's three guys that I think are capable for us to get. That's Jaime, that's Trace, and I think in the second round, you can definitely get Oscar. So those are the type of players that I think we can get. But definitely would love to have my boy Jalen Hood on the team. Would love to have Taylor Hendricks on the team as well. But and of course Jordan as well. I would love to have him too. But that's not going to happen. But those are the guys I see being effective for this draft for this year. But you see how it's going to play out. You know, many things can happen during the draft, and so we're gonna be in a position to be able to observe it, see what they're going to do. They've not for nothing, they've done a good job in drafting over the past couple of years. You know, so if they are able to, they haven't been able to work any of these guys out because, of course, they don't have a pick this year, so they can't work out any of these guys who are projected picks. Only those who may not have a position to be drafted or be free agents at this present stage, they can only work them out at this point in time. But these types of guys, they can't work them out. So hopefully, they've been able to chat with them in any particular way outside of that, and just get an idea of the type of player that they are. But ultimately, I can see this to be something that would be open to us. But looking at the team overall, there's a lot of things that have transpired that's causing us great concern. You know, we ended up at the 5th seed in the East, but looking at what Boston had did just last night, does it mean that we are further away? I don't think so, because Milwaukee, team in South Beach, Philly, and Cleveland, all those teams are beatable in my mind. You know, if we do the right things, and what I mean by the right things, I'll get into in a few minutes. If we do the right things, we can be able to surpass those. But that Boston team is going to be a beast, you know, with that addition that they just made. So I'm not going to go into that because I don't want to speak on those players, but they're definitely going to be a beast for us. What I see for us, areas in which we can make some improvements, it starts. Of course, it starts with the coach. You know, as all y'all know, I'm not a Tibbs fan, but I do recognize his ability to be able to get the best out of his players by being demanding. That's great. Whether or not he's a great communicator, that helps. He's being effective without him being a great communicator. That's even more impressive, you know, because he's still able to get results, and it resulted into the team being in the playoffs 2 of the past 3 years, which is fine. Are they able to get beyond that? I don't think so. If the connection between the coach and the players is not met in a certain way, and what I mean by that is he's not going to be communicating. We understand that, but in some way, shape, and form, it has to get to our players that we currently have to be better. Build a certain amount of skills that's going to enable them to be able to be more adaptable on the court and force that adaptability to be the most dominant thing on the court itself. And what I mean by that is, yes, my boy Brunson, I knew he was going to be a beast coming in this year. Saw him in Villanova, saw him doing his thing there. Knew he was going to be a championship mindset. But what I saw this year, whether it was because um, the team, the players around him, did not adapt well to being able to be comfortable in their skin as far as being an individual players on the team. I mean, knowing how to fit on the court with him, his assist levels were down in two ways. One, yes, the ball did move in certain instances, but his ability to be able to have to be effective as a one-on-one player, it maybe stifled their individuality as far as them being able to be comfortable and be able to get the ball at certain spots. And so in adjusting to that, so another year of being able to understand how to play with him in that particular style and to be comfortable in your own style in that scenario is going to be a challenge for those players. For Grimes and for Barrett, that's going to be, and we saw that. We saw the differences. They were, the ball wasn't in their hands at a certain point in time, and then rushing shots at certain particular moments during the game, it wasn't within the flow. And so how do they get into that flow is something that they're going to have to be able to build up a little bit more. So from a Brunson standpoint, I need for him to make sure that he gets this year a higher assist level. And what that means is that, yes, he's going to be able, he does still passes the ball. We understand that, doing all that, but it's still getting the ball in position for where his guys feel comfortable taking a shot and knowing, and they're taking that shot, that they're going to make that shot. Right now, they're rushing a lot. And whether that's due to their, one, not comfortable in the position that they're in, or two, just uncertain as to when they're going to get the ball and then not showing they're going to get it back again, that's going to be a challenge for them as well. So I want them to be able to come together more so as a team. And Brunson has to lead that effort. He has to be able to infuse that team level confidence within each other to make sure that they do that. I know he took over because he had to do what he had to do. There's no shade on him in any particular way, but we have to be a team in this instance here in order to get the best out of those guys. And how that's going to happen is going to have to start with him being able to instill that confidence, continue to do so. If they don't do it, understand they don't do it. You give them to the ball, they don't make the shots at the point in time. You got to do your thing. You got to make sure you do the win. You know. There is an I in win, so it is what it is. But at the end of the day, he has to be able to get that out of his guys. And I'm particularly interested in the effectiveness of Grimes and RJ as part of the starting unit. I'm not worried about the other dude, the fake number 30 to me. It's only 130 to me on that team. So at the end of the day, those two guys have to feel very comfortable in their roles and how to play in that position. And it's up, and not to be able to do, and if not able to do that, then the coach had to find a way to bring out more effectiveness offensively from those two guys. But that's where we're suffering. Our wing guys are suffering from the standpoint. And if we saw anything throughout the NBA this year, our wings are critical. So we have to be able to get more effective. I don't mind the scoring averages of both Randall and Brunson coming down if those go up. Which means that we're being more effective with the team, and I need for that to happen. I don't need to be dependent upon them to be primaries at that point in time throughout the regular season. So I need my point guard to be able to corral the team, be able to get them more effective. Also, that's on the point guard side of it. What else I need on the point guard? I'm not going to go into too much on the IQ at this stage because there's a lot to talk about that in a few. But there's one guy I still think that's going to be on this team this year, and that's McBride. And for him, he still has a long way to go offensively. Well, saw some strides this year. He took 3-pointers confidently and hit them. Saw it in the playoffs. When we were struggling in game number 3, he came in the court and hit that tough shot 3-pointer and got us over that out of that point. We was able to move on from there. So clearly, he definitely is one that showed us that he has a ability to make improvements on offensive game. He still lacks the ability to be able to get in the hole with his shiftiness. So I'm not sure if he has that in him, whether that's a level of confidence, whether that's the desire to beat him out the dribble or beat him out the dribble even to make that playmaker style of game. But for him, we need to have him be able to do that a little bit better because that's something that's going to be here. And he had someone to watch throughout the whole season. You saw how Brunson was able to be effective in that particular type of game, and if he could add elements of that, I think he could be a little bit more effective in that role. Um, because I think he's going to be on the team next year, and that's something that we will need from a backup standpoint as well. Talked about already from a shooting guard standpoint. Grimes, he definitely, the lights were too bright for him at the beginning portions of the playoffs. Um, and I hate to harp back to summer league. Summer league and playoffs are two different things, but two different things. The same thing, I should say. In the summer league championship game, when everything was on him to be able to produce, lights were too bright. Same reaction I saw him in the playoffs. Lights were too bright, rushed his shots a lot, was very overactive and different things, didn't know how to control his feeling. And that's, I don't know if that's, inability because, not being used to being a number one or a top priority. Don't know about that. But I can see that being the case. But if that is the case, I need for him to slow his mind down because he definitely has the ability to be able to shoot that shot. And if he can get it in a very comfortable position, I think he can be really effective in that way. But I need for him to be able to feel comfortable in those roles because we're gonna need that outside shooting. We need him. He has to be over a 40% shooter because he's gonna be our threat. What we missed throughout the whole season was our inability to hit 3-point shots, and he's gonna get the bulk of them. He has to hit them. He has to hit them at that particular clip. If he's gonna shoot, be above 5 shots a game, he has to be able to hit over 40%. So we need that from him. As far as moving over to my boy RJ, I don't like him really at the small forward. I'd rather have him at the 2, but it is what it is. His game, he really needs to find what his game is truly going to be. Yes, he did find the up and down game, up and get into the hole to be effective, but I think there's more to his game, more open to his game that he can actually take advantage of, and that's one in the mid range. There's a lot of open space there for him. That requires footwork. That requires getting in the gym and working in the lab to get that down pat. We see how effective it can be because he's a big guy, and not too many people his size that's going to be at that position and that strong to be able to overtake him. That may falter in the playoffs at some certain points, but he will have more options to his game, and that's what we want to add components. And I think that if he can get his footwork down so that he can be able to be effective in that particular part of the court, then I think he'll be even more effective. I'm not too concerned about the 3-pointer. 3-pointers is going to be open shots. He's going to be left open. He can definitely shoot 40% because he did that 2 years ago. But at the end of the day, that's going to be on him to get those shots and be able to be comfortable in that position. So, but I need him to be able to work upon his footwork and be able to do that. One other area of his game that I think that if the coach has a little bit more offensive awareness, is just being able to move the players around, get them moving. That a lot of just ISO ball is really killing our ability to be able to get easy baskets. And because we saw so inefficient shooting from the outside, being able to move around to get back cuts all around on the court is going to open up different portions of the game to give the defense something else to think about, make them hesitant for that half a second. And if so, you can take advantage of that. It's great. But the stagnant ISO play, that's going to be rough. And I hope that we can be able to massage our offense to be able to get to the point to where we can be able to do that. But one that comes from our player personnel, whether or not they're smart enough to be able to take advantage of that. We know that C. Grimes can do a lot of back cuts. Obi did some back cuts, not this past season, but a lot in the seasons before that. That was his thing. He's been in the corner relegated at this point in time. But that's something that I think that we need to take advantage of. And if that can be emphasized throughout the summer and through their work in the off season, I think that could be helpful. Speaking of our power forwards, I'm not going to talk too much about Randall. He is who he is. He's said what he said, in his podcast interview the other day. Not a big fan of some of the comments that was made there. As I say, we don't believe you. We need more people. Yeah, that's what I feel on that end of it. But from an Obi standpoint, there's a lot. I think there's a lot to his game that's open up. I honestly do feel he's not going to be with the team next year. But I don't want him to go 100%. I do feel there's a place for him on this team. It really depends upon how the coach wants to utilize him. And there's a skill set that's there that the coach may not be as comfortable in utilizing on the court because he's never really had a high flyer like that at that position. If you look back at his teams, he's been, those who play that role have been more strong type of players, more offensive, strong and rebound, things like that. that's who Randall is, which is fine. But Obi's a different type of player, and being able to be comfortable and how to utilize that skill set is a limitation on the coaches and bringing that out. Um, whether that on the defensive end, he's on the court 12 minutes a game. If he's missing assignments, can't speak to that too much because again, what we've seen this past year, he's been very active with his hands, he's been very active in what he's been being able to get into the lane, and when needed to rebound. Specifically, we saw that in the playoffs when Randall was out, he got the rebounds. So the ability is there. It's just a matter of what is being emphasized by the coaching staff and what they want him to do. It was clear in that particular game when he got those rebounds when Randall was out that it was a focus upon at that stage. So clearly, there is ability there. How it's going to be taken advantage of for the upcoming season, don't know. But I don't feel he will be there this upcoming season. So that's the sad part on that end of it. As far as our centers, the centers these days are really de-emphasized, and that's unfortunate because that's a part of the game that is effective in the past, less emphasized in this current state, but doesn't mean that it's not valuable. And because of that, I think that if emphasis is given individually by those players, I'm speaking of Mitch, speaking of Sims, speaking of Hartenstein, if they are able to enhance their portion of the game, even just to break the monotony on the court when they get stagnant, drop it down low, and with a 1-2 post move, they can just develop that 1 or 2 just to give an option to the opposing team. That will be helpful, and that's something that that starts with the coach, number one, but also applicable to all our centers themselves. They have to take accountability on that particular thing. But there's nothing wrong with having a 1 or 2 post moves just to break up the monotony on the floor, and to get you a basket when things are challenging. Specifically when we're just throwing up bricks all the time, having be reliant upon an offensive rebound in those scenarios is tough because those balls are going to bounce hard and far and wide and wide. And so it's not always where the big man's in a position to be able to get those types of offensive rebounds because the ball is bouncing way back out. And that's not where they're at. So it's clear that if that's going to be the style of play, then that's going to be something where they're going to be suffering at that point. So yes, getting to the hole off the backboard, it bounces off the rim. Yes, being a big man, getting tap in or put back by the dunk, that's great. That's fine positioning, fine blocking out, able to do so. But because we're going to be taking so many different 3 points in the game, offensive rebounds is going to be very difficult. That's going to be a team effort. Sliding back one other player, and I have to get into my boy. This is my boy Hart. Loved Hart since he was in Villanova. He was there for the first championship that they won. Saw his toughness, but oddly, the worst part about it is that his game is the same from his Villanova days to he is now, and that's sad. Primarily because he's been in the league, he's been around other strong personality players. He was his rookie year with LA, he was with Kobe. So we saw this work effort and the things that he put himself through to be able to add components to his game. And all of them saw that with Kobe. So to be the same player from rookie to now is disappointing. I would love for him to be able to add a little better ball handling skills to his game. Meaning, yes, he's the fast break and he's upright, but if you put a body to him, he's going to suffer. And maybe we saw that in the playoffs, he was less effective in that second round versus in the first round, because they put the body to him on those plays and got him out of his game, got him out of his comfort zone. So he has to be more comfortable and able to handle the ball in those situations if he's going to lead the offense when getting those strong rebounds. Yes, he's a strong rebound. Get the ball with the 2 hands and he go. That's great. But if you want to take that responsibility, you have to be more ownership with your ball handling abilities and be able to get to the rim and just do what you have to do. Put the ball in the hole, whether it be through a dunk or getting a foul, which he can do, but he has to be able to do that. He has to get to the rim first in order to make that effective. And sometimes in the playoffs, that didn't happen. And second, on the 3-point shot, again, being in the league since first year, now you should be better with the 3-point shot, specifically when you're going to get that open shot all the time. You shot it confidently during the regular season, but that's regular season ball. Playoff ball is different. You're going to need him to be more effective in that way if he's going to be on this team, specifically signing a 4-year contract coming up. I'm sure he's going to get that. I'm not going to be, hate on upon that money because that's, hey, you put yourself in a position to do so. You're going to get the rewards of that. So I'm not going to fuss about that. But he has to take ownership this year, because if he's going to get this contract for the next 4 years, he has to be able to he's going to be on this team He has to be able to show, to reciprocate that what was given to him as far as the funds in this way. So want him to improve in that area, and I want to make sure he does that. If those things are done, I feel that there's less of a need to be able to go out and get somebody new, because again, integrating them back into the Tibbs way of things is going to be a challenge. But so I would just basically say that if each of the floors of our existing players rises up, I think it puts us in a better position to be able to move from that fifth position in the Eastern Conference to that 2 position, and that's a big jump. You saw how many games, but I think that those teams may come down and they may come up. So I think that's something that we can think about in the upcoming season here. So what does that basically mean for me? I don't know, because a lot of things have transpired over the past couple of days that's like, whoa, that team out west, they won the NBA Finals. They're going to be a beast, but the good part, we don't have to deal with them until the finals. So focusing upon just the East, I think is still very wide open, and because of that, we can do certain things to do so. But what I'm feeling is that the Knicks are going to make a trade this year, and if that is the route that they're going to go, this is what I think they should do. Because of what the team up in Northeast has done yesterday, I think the Knicks are really 2 players away, all-star level players away, from being able to be strong over the next 3 seasons. And that's what I want to happen. So that means I know everybody's talking about the Cat. I'm not the Cat fan, never was for him in Kentucky, but I recognize his skill set. Levine, he's a good player, very athletic, very scatterish, but has great ability. And of course, I love Donovan Mitchell since he was in Louisville. Wanted him when he came out of the draft as well, but didn't happen. If there's a way, and this is my viewpoint, if there's a way for my boys to get 2 of those 3 this offseason, that's going to be the team for the next 2 or 3 years. Because the way the salary cap and the collective bargaining agreement has been put together, you might as well just go blow past it and just do what you got to do with the players that you have. To do something like that means really getting rid of about 6 players. But think about this. If there's a starting 5 of, at the center spot, Cat, at the 4, Randall, at the 3, Barrett, at the 2, either being Mitchell or Levine, and at the 1, Brunson, you tell me that's not a great starting 5. On the bench with Hart, Hartenstein, McBride, and then 1 other player who they'll pick up as a possible tax player exemption. Everybody's talking about DiVincenzo, bringing back the Villanova connection, which is cool. He's a good player. I liked him in Villanova. No sense. He did a great job in Golden State last year. A player like that 9-man rotation, I'm not mad at that. And also with the 5th to 10th person would be Sims. Not mad at the team like that. Could that be a team that can get you to the Eastern Conference Finals and give yourself an opportunity to go to the finals? I would say yes, based upon what we saw from Brunson being the lead of that snake at that point in time. So if something like that happens, I'm good. But if it's just onesie, twosie type of trades, I'm not going to be happy with that situation from the Knicks. And I don't think it will take them too far. Even if it's just bringing in my boy, Donovan Mitchell. Even though we saw him suffer last year, he suffered because he was the one and the others around him really didn't perform. I don't think he will have that issue in New York. And now after watching that performance, I was a little skeptical bringing him on last year because I wasn't going to be sure how Mitchell and Robin and Randall was going to be on the floor together. But I've moved past that. Seeing the struggles that he went through last year, I think it set into his head having a strong 5 like this would be something that he would want to be a part of. And I think that would be something that can actually happen. So if it is, that's the scenario, that's what I'm thinking about. Forget just trying to get a onesie, twosie type of trade. Go all the way in. Trade for two of those 3 guys, and I'll be very happy, even if I'm giving up my boys. Only have 1 boy in that group, but that's really just Obi himself. So other than that, others I don't really care about too much. I respect the game, but I can deal with them not being on a team at this point in time. And think about this: They have 11 picks after tonight's draft. 4 of their own that can be traded straight up. Four, uh, 4 picks of the others that can be straight traded up straight, and 3 swaps. Get rid of all of them. Well, everything. I'm talking about go all the way in and go hard for the next 3 years. That's basically what I'm saying for this team. That's how I view it. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. Go my Knicks. That's out. Harlem to MSG.